Good morning.
Good morning.
And welcome to the Auburn Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, which is located on ancestral occupied land that used to be our Muskogee Creek Nation, housed in a building constructed by free, formerly enslaved African Americans. My name is Judy Collins, and I'm your service associate today. Welcome to this morning. Welcome to this day and opportunity to be together in community. It's a time of joy, comfort, oh yes, and sometimes challenge. This Unitarian Universalist congregation is a place where we come to learn more about being human. We're not here because we figured out all of life's questions or because we think we've got it right. We come to learn more about being in relationship together. How to listen, how to forgive, how to be vulnerable, how to create trust and compassion in one another. I call your attention to announcements printed on the back of the order of service. Please read for important information about fellowship life. Spoken announcements will be heard at the end of the hour. On behalf of the members of the fellowship, I extend a special welcome to all who are visiting, joining us for the first time, and to many of you who still feel like a visitor. If you've not already done so, please fill out our visitor book at the front near the greeters or digitally by visiting auf.org/visitor. You may also contact our minister, Rev. Chris Rothbauer, at minister@auf.org with any questions or concerns you may have. As we prepare for our service this morning, please remember to turn your phone or other electronic devices to silent. Now, let's move into the service, willing to be authentic with each other, honest within ourselves, open to connection in all its forms.
Our opening words are from George Kimmich Beach. Everything begins on the verge of awareness. The dawn is not and then is. Sleep is and then is not. In between is the awakening. The passage of thin light between breaks open the day. The passage of thin sound between flows into the day. Too soon, the numbling rumble of traffic swells, the day glares. Let the soft haze hang again across this row of morning. Wait upon the narrow moment, the first awareness of being in between. Live days and seasons on the thin edge of dawn in praise that every single thing begins now.
We light our chalice this morning with these words from Cynthia Landrum. For the wonder and inspiration we seek from stars and the sun and all the lights of heavens, we light this chalice. As is our tradition, we also light a candle in solidarity with those families separated from us at the southern border. Our opening hymn is in the hymnal, number 21, for the beauty of the earth. One of the ways we proclaim the warmth and caring of our community is by sharing our joys, concerns, and milestones. If you're joining us virtually, we invite you to type your joy, concern, or milestone in the YouTube chat box during the music for meditation. We invite those in person who prefer a silent expression to one at a time drop a pebble into our communal bowl during the music for meditation. Spoken joys and concerns will be invited following the music. I invite you, if you have a joy, concern, or milestone, to come forward one at a time and briefly share it into the microphone so everyone can hear. Help maintain social distances. Please don't line up, but come forward after the last person has left the microphone. Come on, first person.
I'm Carl Backman. I have a joy, and I'm actually a little ahead of myself. But the community band will be playing not this Monday, but the following Monday at, I don't know what we call it these days. It's the junior high school these days, but that old building was the high school at Stanford and Dean. I only mention it because I think it's a very fine program. I'm really pleased with that, and so that gives you much time to put it in your date book. also have a milestone, I guess. My 32-year-old son, many of you know, Chipper or Carl, is perhaps finally going to leave the house. We've been delighted to have him with us since he went back after his ballet career to live with us for the last year, but he's headed north, probably to Minnesota, where it's cold enough now. And so this will be probably our last week with him at home.
I wasn't here last week because my daughter got married to the wonderful man from Virginia. Take it out.
My dad bought me this book and I love it. I read the first page and it's really good. Thank you, Dad. My sister's birthday is soon, like 3 days from now.
Well, it's hard to go after that. So unfortunately, I have a concern. I was essentially alerted late last night that the people who are fixing my tiny house bus are essentially trying to scam me. First bill I got that supposedly did not have everything on it was $11,000. Second bill, $15,000. Third bill, $28,000. So I get to contact them today and talk to them about consumer protection rights and talking to the Better Business Bureau and a lawyer and the Attorney General. And this is all after assuring me it would be less than $20,000, like assured. So wish me luck with that.
I want to share joy because Sylvia and I were the lucky participants in Conrad Ross's printmaking workshop, and we had fun. We had challenges. Printmaking isn't as simple as you might think. So if you're thinking about printmaking, read up about it before you get started, because there's lots of steps and lots of things that can go wrong, even though you think you're doing everything right. It's like, oops, oh well, let's do it again. But the beauty is that apparently it's kind of forgiving in some ways, because you can make a mistake on making the plate and you can correct it, which is way cool. Might not be the best if you never had to correct it. Or I guess it would be the best if you never had to correct it. But anyway, we had lots of fun. Thank you, Conrad.
So a joy, my oldest brother Joe and I traveled to New Orleans this week to see the band Wilco 2 nights in a row at the Civic Theater, which if you've never been to it only seats 1,200 people. And like the main general area is probably half as deep as this room. And then they've got a couple balconies, so it was like a super intimate experience. Both nights were real barn burner, rockin' shows. And we got to be, basically right on the rail the second night. So we're right in front of them. And so as if that wasn't special enough, on Wednesday, we're putzing around the French Quarter and went to a dusty old bookshop/record shop. And there was the band. So we got to meet them, and they signed records, and so my brother bought a signed record, and so he was they're his absolute favorite band, so he was on cloud nine for the whole time we were there. So it was a lot of fun.
Judy, Chris, everybody. Those of you who noticed my mask, notice I'm wearing both, because Auburn did beat Georgia in equestrian, so it's there's a joy other than both the equestrian and the football games. I graduated from Bell School. Toomer City and had its 860th day yesterday. Two white guys approached us denying that racism exists, and then a white lady came and tried to pray the Christian prayer in a certain way, and it just got ugly. So it's an obvious concern. So if you keep everybody in mind, particularly those people in Toomer's Corner who have the fire and the backbone that many people don't have, I would appreciate that very much. And also, I'm going to try to get both a flu shot and a COVID-19 shot tomorrow at Walgreens. This will be my first flu shot in a while. It'll be my third booster shot for the COVID. Pray everything goes well. Thank you.
Indeed, may it go well. Thanks to all who've shared your joys, concerns, and milestones this morning. And may all these joys, concerns, and milestones of the community, those shared aloud and those held in silence, be received into the care and concern of all present here and digitally also. Our Moment for All Ages is led by our coordinator of religious exploration, Angela Farmer.
Hey, what's the here? Sorry, all my friends. Come on, oh, Sylvie, up there. You got the best spot in the house, huh? Good morning, everybody. How are you? Could be worse. Could be worse. That's a way to look at it. So today we're going to look at the magical yet. I have to take my glasses off. There are days when your dreams haven't come true, or you're upset by the things you can't do. If you're lost, or failed, or cried just a bit, if you're tired of waiting, ready to quit. Like that shiny new bike you couldn't ride, and it didn't matter how hard you tried. You couldn't pedal, and you couldn't steer, and you couldn't get that bike in gear. Then, when you thought you were on the right track, you popped a wheelie and fell on your back. Oof. Right, oof. And now you won't ride. No way, not never. No riding for you. You'll walk forever. Is there ever anything like that you feel like you can't do? You try to do it the first time, it's like really hard, and you're just like, I quit, I'm not gonna do it. No, I'm on that train. Don't give up now. That's a major game changer, the most amazing thought rearranger. Someone to show you how good you can get. Now introducing the magical yet. With this yet magic, you can begin to see that you're going beyond where you've been. There are so many things that you've learned to do when you didn't know the yet was with you. Like when you babbled before you could talk, or how you crawled before you could walk. Yet's a dreamer, a schemer, a hoper, a trier, a maker, a doer, a gotta fly higher. This yet finds a way even when you don't, and yet knows you will when you think you won't. Like that shiny new bike that you couldn't ride, hop right back on with yet by your side. The wheel of that seems kind of hard. I think they'll fix it. They'll have to fix it. Yet doesn't mind warm-ups, fixes, and flops, do-overs, redos, stumbles, and stops. Yet knows there's mistakes, some big and some small. With yet, you're sure to get over them all. Just like Laura with her printmaking. Play the kazoo or play the bassoon, jam with it yet, and you'll soon be in tune. Try skateboarding tricks, like the ollie heel flip. This yet can get you to the championship. Tongue twisters twisted your tongue in a knot, yet says, keep trying and practice a lot. Do you remember the first time you tried to jump a horse? The very first time, did it work? No, you got. I was very confused and I kept going, but
Yeah, it's something you gotta work on, right?
Be patient. You can't do it all overnight. Some things take days, months, or years to get right. But if you keep leaping, dreaming, wishing, waiting, learning, trying, missing, with a yet as your guide along the way, you'll do all the things you can't do today. Now you're bolder, braver, starting to see, with yet you can get where you want to be. You finally did it, yet knew you could. You're not just writing, you're getting quite good. But don't stop now, you've got much to do. The good news is, this yet grows with you. So no matter how big or old you may get, you'll never outgrow, you'll never forget. You can always believe in the magic of yet. This y'all grow up here, right? You guys ready to go out? Right. May your minds be may your words ring through. May your heart hold love and your brains do pieces as you go away in peace. As you go your way in peace. As you go your way in peace.
Please join me in the spirit of contemplation, whatever way feels right, with these words from Susan L. Suhaki. Day by day, month by month, year by year, we are confronted with all that we do not know, that we do not understand, that we do not grasp. Sometimes we are humbled by this knowledge and say, it is too wonderful for me to comprehend, but I know this universe is more grand and more beautiful than I ever could have imagined. And I give thanks for the blessing of being here and seeing and hearing, experiencing and sensing all that is so wonderful around and in me. Sometimes we are saddened by this knowledge and say we need to have the burden of heart and suffering removed from us. May we have the courage, the wisdom and fortitude to bear the pain of living. And may we be sent those who will carry our burdens for a short while, and send us those who will comfort us with their healing words and thoughts. Sometimes we are angered by this knowledge and we say, if it be in our power, may we have the strength and ability to right wrongs, for we do not, nor does any person in the world deserve this. And sometimes we are made joyous by the knowledge, and we say, we rejoice and cheer for our glorious life. Sometimes we are made curious by this knowledge, and we say, I have no idea what happened or how it happened, but somehow, some way, something changed, and I am free to explore new ways of being. May I continue the search for the unknown in myself and others. Blessed be.
The purpose of Unitarian Universalist communities is to encourage all who gather to grow more generous in spirit and in action. This is the great end of all the world's faith traditions, to bring the human being closer to the divine by acts of creation and compassion. As is our custom on the second Sunday of each month, we now take an offering that allows us to exercise that all-important generosity of spirit, an offering that will support an organization in the community whose values align with our own, that is doing amazing work in the Auburn-Opelika area. For the month of October, 100% of unpledged donations in our offering basket will go to support the American Red Cross Disaster Relief Fund for Hurricane Ian. The Red Cross prevents and alleviates human suffering in the face of emergencies by mobilizing the power of volunteers and the generosity of donors. An average of 90 cents of every dollar the American Red Cross spends is invested in delivering care and comfort to those in need. Everything they do depends on the needs of the people that we serve. Donations given this morning will go to support those affected by Hurricane Ian. Please give generously this morning as you are willing and able, as we bring the compassionate spirit of Unitarian Universalism into the world. To make a donation online via PayPal, please visit auuf.org/donate. Please indicate in the notes whether your donation is for your pledge or your offering. If you're writing a check, please make it payable to AUUF with a note on the memo line about whether it's for the offering or your pledge, and drop it in the bowl or mail it to P.O. Box 669, Auburn, Alabama 36831. The offering will now be gratefully received. A reading from Dana Capassa. The delicate flapping wings of a butterfly have the power to set molecules of air in motion, in turn moving more molecules of air, a tiny act that is eventually capable of affecting weather patterns on the other side of the planet. This notion comes from a concept within chaos theory called the butterfly effect. Simply, the butterfly effect refers to a phenomenon in our world in which a small change in one place affects an equal or greater change in other places. This may seem crazy. What? A tiny butterfly changing global weather patterns? Not only is the butterfly effect a real scientific theory, but it's an intriguing philosophical idea. I say all this because the butterfly effect affects the way I live my life and the decisions I make in a way that no ideas about God ever have. I'm no meteorologist, nor am I well versed in entomology, but ever since learning about the butterfly effect, I've been attracted to it because it demonstrates an important principle that is too often forgotten. Namely, each of our actions has effects that are more profound than we think. Interconnection is a major theme found in nearly all of the world's religious and philosophical traditions. The interconnectedness of our universe is one of the most significant revelations of physics. All components of matter are interconnected, interrelated, interdependent, and as Unitarian Universalists, we affirm and promote our responsibility to remain aware of interconnection through our seventh principle, respect for the interdependent web of all existence. Attention to interconnectivity reminds me, despite the many socio-political forces that work to divide us from one another, that I'm never alone in this world. It reminds me that each decision or action I make has reactions, and those reactions reverberate as waves moving back and forth across our globe. This compels me to live my life aware of the consequences of my daily actions, whether it be purchases I make or personal interactions with others. I do not always succeed, but I try. My awareness of interconnectivity and efforts to work against the illusion of division remain my most significant spiritual practices. This spiritual practice also gives me the ability to stand in awe of interconnection, in awe of the butterfly effect, and the power that comes with it. On rare occasions, I'm reminded to stop and appreciate the divinity of interconnectivity, revealed before my very eyes. This to me is awe-inspiring. This to me is divine.
I've spoken before in other services, but the religious tradition that I grew up in was not very awe-inspiring. Now, to be completely fair to them, if one of them was here to offer a counterpoint this morning, I'm sure what they would say is that they found awe in the thereafter, in some future world where there might be a better way of living. And yet that didn't seem enough to a young person who was trying to find their way in the world. I didn't need to know that there is some world thereafter. I needed to know that there was some reason for me to live in the here and now, in this world, whether that thereafter was real or not. It didn't seem like a very comforting theology to be told to just put up with all the bull crap from this life for 80 years and I might have a little better eternity. So you can imagine that we didn't put much of an emphasis on nature or science. In fact, we picked and choose the scientific theories that we believed and didn't believe, as is still the case now when science deniers will use science to deny the science of COVID, but use it to affirm any prejudice that they might have. So I'm not sure if I ever did feel awe for much of my young life. But the first time I really remember feeling a part of something bigger than myself was my first visit to Chicago when I was 16, nearly 17 years old. I grew up only about 4.5 hours away from Chicago. So it's, in hindsight, surprising to me that we never made our way there, and in another way completely understandable because my mother didn't like driving in Louisville. Why would she like driving in Chicago? So I went on a school trip. The entire purpose of it was we were going to see the Chicago Stock Exchange because it was cheaper to get to than the New York Stock Exchange. But it was like something clicked on inside my head almost from the time we entered the city limits of Chicago. All these towering skyscrapers, bigger than I'd ever seen before, and this city that seemed to be full of life constantly, and they had a 24-hour McDonald's. There was a lot to see in this city, and it felt like there was a life there that I had never felt before in my sleepy suburb. But what really struck it home was going to the top of the Sears Tower for the first time. Now, some people, including Wikipedia, might tell you it's the Wrigley Tower nowadays. But don't ever tell that to a Chicago local. They'll tell you you're wrong, no matter whether Sears owns it or not. But what I know is that traveling in that elevator up to the top, it felt like I was going up to something new. It might have had something to do with the fact that we traversed 103 floors in 45 seconds. But when those doors opened, and I saw the observation windows for the first time and looked out onto the Chicago streets below, it was like a new perspective, a realization that I truly was part of something much bigger than myself. All of those cars and those people below, walking, going about their normal lives, or tourists like us, who had no idea that someone was up in the air looking at them. At that moment, I knew that there was something bigger than me in the world. And I would come to no longer be comfortable calling that God within the next few years. But what I continue to believe is that it was a feeling of genuine awe that was inspired by realizing there is a bigger whole to the world that we're scarcely often aware of. I wish I could put into words what awe exactly feels like. It's something that poets have struggled with over the years, to find the right words to express how they even feel. And some might even say that awe is a I know it when I feel it situation, but that wouldn't have helped 16-year-old me. The Cambridge English Dictionary says that awe is a feeling of great respect, usually mixed with fear or surprise, and it often shows up when we're not expecting it. I certainly wasn't doing anything at the age of 16 to try to force a feeling of awe out of myself. But nevertheless, it showed up. And I still today firmly believe that we can create the conditions necessary for it to show up, but not the awe itself. When you try to force awe, you usually find something else. But it does often show up at times when we need it. I was in, at the age of 16, a time of deep fear and transition as I realized, or was beginning to realize, that so many things I had been taught about life were lies. Times of stress, discernment or transitions, upheaval of our lives are so often times when all will show up to remind us that there is more to life than what we are immediately seeing. It's what I like to call the mystery. There's so much that we don't understand about the universe, and quite frankly, I hope science never becomes a closed system of inquiry, because at the moment that we stop having things to be curious about, we will stop truly living, I believe. We need mystery. In fact, Amy Gordon of the University of California, San Francisco says that awe is how we respond when we see something new or novel that doesn't fit in our understanding of the world. Awe-prone people are typically more curious people. And awe is what shows up when something new has grabbed our attention that we need to integrate. Awe isn't always a pleasant feeling experience. In fact, it can feel quite jarring if we didn't want it at that particular time. But it reminds us that we need to make meaning of our world. Albert Einstein once said that he who can no longer pause to wonder and stand wrapped in awe is as good as dead. His eyes are closed. Awe makes us feel big, or feel small rather, in the presence of the big, what doesn't quite fit in with what we expect. It's a feeling of self-diminishment in science speak. We spend a lot of our time thinking about what's going on in the world and what's affecting us directly, but awe changes that. Jennifer Stiller at the University of Toronto says, it makes us see ourselves as small, as part of something bigger. These feelings of being small, feeling humbled, and the desire to connect with others is thought by some evolutionary scientists to be part of the reason that over the course of human history, humanity has formed groups, societies, and lived collectively. Gordon says that the idea is that awe makes us more likely to go along with what we need to do to maintain social harmony, because we realize that, like the butterfly effect, that what one of us does affects all the rest. Awe brings us together as a species. by reminding us of our place in the universe and that we truly need one another. Now, awe is often thought of as being connected to supernatural mysticism. But in this view, if you're connected to supernatural occurrences, including God, it creates awe. And it's a dismissal of awe as not being needed on that basis by some people. But whether you believe in God or not, the subjects that inspire awe are by definition natural. Awe is an emotion that finds its expression through things both natural and human-made. And because of this, I think even the staunchest atheist can experience awe. In fact, and I'm sure he would argue with me about this, but I'd argue that much of Richard Dawkins' early work was awe-inspiring. Now, let me define a word that I'm about to use: mysticism. I used the word in a check-in in the board retreat yesterday where we were supposed to write down things that people didn't know about us, and then guess who said it. And the minute I said the word mysticism, there were 9 eyes looking at me going, "Reverend Chris said that." But I want to define mysticism not as something supernatural, but as ecstasy or altered state of conscience, which is given a specific religious or spiritual meaning. Natural mysticism is the feeling of oneness with the universe inspired by all in the world. It's what I believe that I was feeling when I went up to the top of the Sears Tower that day. I was feeling suddenly at one with all that was. If we embrace this definition, I believe that we can embrace awe as a way to understand the world. The famous skeptic Michael Shermer once said that anything that generates a sense of awe may be a source of spirituality, and science, he says, does this in spades. Eco and science mysticism help us peer into the mystery of the universe. When I was doing research for this sermon, one of the most amazing things to be reminded of was how many people that we don't typically think of as religious or spiritual, many of the most famed scientists of our time, have expressed their sense of awe at the universe. Carl Sagan wrote that a religion old or new that stressed the magnificence of the universe, as revealed by modern science, might be able to draw forth reserves of reverence and awe hardly tapped by conventional faiths. And in fact, there is a famous saying in physics that I have quoted before, that we are all made of stardust. And this, for many, is the start of awe. The idea that within me, within my atoms and the atoms of everything in this room, is stardust from the earliest days of life on earth. Helen de Cruz writes that when a scientific paradigm breaks down, scientists need to make a leap into the unknown. She believes that awe helps this happen, that awe is a reminder of what we don't know, and a reminder to keep pushing into the future. Whether it's a beautiful sunset that reminds us just how amazing this world can be, or the love of a child, or even going to the top of the Sears Tower. In our reading that Judy read this morning, Dana Caspasso reminded us that indeed even scientific theories can inspire awe. The idea that me knocking on this pulpit right here could affect weather patterns thousands of miles away, that's completely foreign and alien to my understanding of the world, and yet the butterfly effect says that it's a distinct possibility. What we do matters, and all reminds us of that we don't have to wait for another world to find a reason to live, that everything we need is right here, right now, if we will only find the courage to connect with one another, with the world, and with our own sense that this world, it's pretty amazing. So I'm not going to tell you today what you should and shouldn't find awe in, because that's going to be a personal matter between you and the universe. In fact, there are some people who would say I'm doing all wrong because I found it in the middle of this third largest city in the country at the top of a skyscraper. And yet, I'm reminded of a lesson that I learned in Japan from the Shinto shrine that I was at. Yes, the more touristy Shinto shrines often situated themselves in picturesque natural beauty that, yes, inspired awe in me and in so many visitors. But there's also a shrine at the top of a skyscraper in Nagoya. Nagoya is not a pretty city. Nagoya is home to most of the car companies. And yet at the top of the skyscraper was a reminder that there is still so much beauty, even in places where we don't expect it. So much reason to connect. So I want to give you a challenge this morning. I think that developing this sort of naturalistic mysticism can provide a new myth for taking us forward into the future. I think it can inspire us to create new stories of what matters in the world and a framework for understanding across our differences. What is it that inspires you? What is it that keeps helping you get up in the morning and carry on? If we're all inspired to search for our place in the universe, we might just be inspired to listen to each other more and to listen to our differences. And we might just feel that we are part of something that truly matters. The Christian mystic Richard Rohr once said that people who have had any genuine spiritual experience know that they don't know. They are utterly humbled before mystery. They are in awe before the abyss of it all. So find ways. Find ways to remember all that you don't know. Question the unquestionable. See yourself as part of a larger interconnected system. And stand in awe at the fact that no matter how many years you live on this earth, you're still going to die with questions in your mind. I believe, if you've lived a good life. May we each have the courage to face the awe of what we don't know, and the courage to face the smallness of our own lives. May it be so. Our closing hymn is number 1064 in the Till Hymnal, Blue Boat Home. Please join me in extinguishing our chalice. You'll find the words in your order of service. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Please be our guest after the service for our coffee hour and potluck today. Whether you brought a dish or not, you are welcome to stay and join us. This is an opportunity to really get to stay and chat with people over food and fellowship and just find out what's been going on in their lives. If you're not signed up for our email list, please make sure to do so to receive updates about ways to connect. You can find information on signing up on our website at auuf.org/subscribe. One announcement, Judy had to rush out real quick, but she asked me if I would announce that if anyone's not doing the Macho Men Workday next Saturday, there is going to be a concert in Fredonia, country, western, gospel, and praise concert, and it's free. It's from 11 to 3 next Saturday, and I'll leave the flyer up here on the table if anyone would like to take a look at it. Does anyone else have a spoken announcement this morning?
I just want to announce that Jan Newton's mother, Mary Harris, has painted all these paintings in this room. And so we're grateful that Jan was able to share them with us.
So in 2 weeks, on October 23rd, 11:30 in the Bush Center, we'll be meeting to do some planning for the campus ministry. So save the date, and I hope to see many of you there to see what we can get off the ground.
While I am not able to be there, you should still definitely join everyone for game night on the 14th.
Hi, I'm Demiskin, and I have two announcements to read. The first one is announcement on behalf of Diana's Pantry team, Amy Kaiser and Noriko. Diana's Pantry is currently assisting the largest number of recipients. Item collection is next Sunday, October 15th. Please join us in extending helping hands to those in need. Items highly needed are bathroom tissues, cans of chicken, tuna, vegetables, and fruits, as well as soup cans, pasta, and pasta sauces. Thank you. And the second announcement is from COM, Committee on Ministry. The announcement is actually on the back of your order of service. Since we have virtual audience, I will just briefly read it. COM will be holding a Sunday service on October 30th, 2022. This will be a service plan to introduce the COM itself, as well as to review, formulate, and speak or discuss about AUUF's mission, vision, and values. So it is, we will have this poster, which will be around. Join your COM in reimagining the AUUF mission statement under the theme Mission Statement, the next iteration. Sunday, October 30th, 10 a.m. And then after the service, there will be a second hour for feedback and discussion. So hope you join us. Thank you.
Good morning. I need some help in writing postcards like these to Pennsylvania. I have 300 and I have stamps. I just need you to help me write addresses and a couple of words. And this is from the Postcards to Swing States. So their mission is to rally Democrats to vote in December. It's just asking them to get out to vote. So if you want to help me, I have them in the back. And during potluck, please join me. Thank you.
Okay, this is a reminder for those who heard this announcement a few weeks ago that we are going to be having the cookie walk this year. So this is a tradition that's been going on for decades in our community, and we had to alter the way that we did it the last couple of years because of the pandemic. But this year we will be having an in-person cookie walk. This is a benefit for Habitat for Humanity, and we need people to bake cookies. So if you can bake and freeze cookies, the more cookies the better. We need cookies to sell that are holiday, any variety, bars, candies, anything like that you would like to donate. So the date is December 3rd, but now's the time to start preparing.
If you've always wanted to join a choir but you can't sing, I do have a spot for you. We're in desperate need of, for lack of a better term, librarian. There are piles and piles of music that have not been able to be filed because I don't have the time. The choir members are busy singing when we're here. So if you would like to, please let me know. You won't get paid, but you'll get your undying thanks.
Next Sunday during Second hour will be the second session of the Spirit and Practice adult RE program. We'll be exploring personal spiritual practices, so all are welcome, even if you weren't able to make the first one, and they'll be in the Upper Center. Please join us now for our Sun benediction. Our benediction is by Mary Eads. Like the cosmic dust following after a great parasite meteor, we are the living remnants of time and all that has come to pass in its wake, briefly shining lights on the way to eternity. We are only visible in the naked eye for an instant. Take this moment to shine like the stardust you are. May the light of our time on earth shine to bless the world and each other. Shine, shine, shine. Amen. Blessed be, and go in peace. Hey, Ralph.